I'm bound to say I think we're probably going to very, very quickly switch from prolonged drought into something very different. I'm quite concerned we're going to see a lot of heavy rain as we go through the latter part of the autumn and into the winter, and that, of course, will bring the opposite problems of flooding.
Now, deadly wildfires are continuing to sweep across parts of southern Europe, fuelled by extreme heat, strong winds and tinder-dry conditions. Thousands of people have been forced to evacuate, with holiday resorts, homes and businesses threatened as firefighters battle to contain dozens of blazes. A pilot and a fire officer died in Greece after two helicopters fighting fires there crashed. That happened yesterday. In the UK, several wildfires that broke out last week are still considered live incidents. Well, John Hammond is a meteorologist and joins us now. Good morning.
Hi, Kate.
I suppose let's talk about what's happening in Europe at the moment. How bad is it, and is there likely to be any reprieve in the weeks to come?
Eventually, Kate, yes, but not in the immediate future. It's not a great outlook, to be honest, for much of continental Europe, and that includes, to be perfectly honest, much of the south of the UK. It's a complicated patchwork across Europe. You know, some parts of Europe actually haven't had as many wildfires as we've had in recent years, but certainly we've had some high-profile events, as we're all well aware, across parts of Spain, parts of France, western France near Bordeaux, and of course, as you just mentioned, Greece, and even across the UK. I think that the wildfires across the Cairngorms, incidentally, which we had a week or 10 days ago, here we've had some very welcome rain, and there's plenty more to come. So it is a complicated picture across Europe, but the big picture is that across much of the south of Europe, and even as far north as the south of the UK, I'm expecting a lot more dry weather to come for several weeks. In terms of temperatures, we're going to see another spike again, as you mentioned, across Western Europe, and that includes the south and east of England. So today we're going to jump back up into the 30s. Very dry air as well, Kate. It's that combination of high temperatures and very low humidities which has helped spark those wildfires. And much of Europe, a bit like much of the woods behind me, are resembling a savanna. And anything will just very, very quickly catch, as we saw in Dunwich a few days ago. That, thankfully, is under control. But I want to sort of reiterate the fact that we're by no means out of the woods, so to speak, in terms of the risk of wildfires for a few weeks to come. Meteorologically, Kate, through this week, stark contrasts across the UK, in actual fact. You know, across the north, the Scotland, Northern Ireland, it's going to resemble autumn, I think, at times through the next few days. We're going to see a fair bit of rain, much lower temperatures, whereas further south and east, yes, another heat spike today. And although it'll cool off through the following few days across the south, very little, if any, rain through this week. Beyond that, my weather charts are not looking pretty in terms of rainfall. There's not going to be an awful lot, I think, particularly across the heart of continental Europe. For England and Wales, hopefully some rain, but we are so in desperate need of a lot of rain that I'm afraid we're going to have to be very patient.
And when you say very patient, John, I mean, are we expecting... I think we've asked you this question before, and the answer was it's too early to tell, but can we tell anything about what kind of autumn or winter even we might be likely to have this year based on what we're seeing now?
Yeah, I mean, there's one big factor, actually, which is steering my thoughts as we go into the autumn winter, and that is El Nino. It's sort of vanished off the headlines in recent weeks because of the more imminent problems with drought and wildfires, but we've got a huge El Nino forming across the Pacific, the tropical Pacific. That's a naturally occurring warming of the tropical Pacific, but this one is particularly strong as we head through the rest of this year and into the early part of next year. Now, one sort of knock-on effect of El Nino for us is that we tend to get a lot of low pressure. We've had high pressure through this summer, hence the drought. We tend to get a lot of low pressure weather systems affecting the UK through the autumn and into the winter. So I'm bound to say I think we're probably going to very, very quickly switch from prolonged drought into something very different. I'm quite concerned we're going to see a lot of heavy rain as we go through the latter part of the autumn and into the winter, and that, of course, will bring the opposite problems of flooding. I mean, I don't want to get ahead of myself because it's several months away, and as we all know, meteorology is an inexact science, is it not? But the indications are ominous for a particularly wet autumn and winter. One other aspect, Kate, before I go, is Another feature of our climate that's developing is increased amounts of sunshine. You may not have heard about this. It's not something that's talked about widely. We talk about increased drought and heat in the summer. The other thing is our climate is getting a whole lot sunnier. And one reason for that, actually, is the fact that we've cleaned up our air. There are far fewer pollutants in the lower atmosphere, far less soot, far less sulfates from car emissions. And that's actually causing less cloud. And that, unfortunately, is accelerating global warming. So, yeah, we all enjoy the sunshine, but actually that's exacerbating the warming which we're seeing, particularly across Europe. Europe is one of the most rapidly warming continents on the planet at the moment, and that's because we cleaned up our air, ironically.
I really didn't expect you to say that, John. That's a fascinating piece of information. Thank you very much. John
Pleasure.
Hammond there, meteorologist. You learn something new every day.
And totally plausible if you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you can see the logic, but I would never have thought that cleaning up the atmosphere would make it worse in terms of sunshine if you're thinking about the climate.
And we're going to talk later on about this new phenomenon, people heading north on holidays, because you've got to get away from if Europe's the biggest warming continent, one of the most...
Chili bobs.
We're not calling it chili bobs. We're not calling it cool cake. The Times is trying to get cool
Freezy
cake
bobs?
off. No, I think bobs is just not allowed. Someone was like, because I went on holiday to Iceland, I was, as ever, I'm an trend influencer.
Sorry, you're a what now?
Yeah. Where did you go on holiday?
Derbyshire.
Which is north from here. That's technically. It wasn't very cool.
It was okay. There was no rain though. We were expecting it to rain all week and it didn't.
No, and we desperately
I had a bit of rain on my face for about half an hour one morning. That was it.
And you went wild swimming.
Went wild swimming.
Which I know about because, as ever, you follow the wild swimmers code. You told me about it straight away.
No, you asked me what we did, and I said we swam in some rivers. And also, incidentally, you told me that you swam in a lagoon before I told you that I went wild swimming. So if anyone
we both
is
did. That's
boring on about their wild swimming, it's you, not me.
It's fair. It's desperately fair.
The other controversial topic of the morning, coolcations.
No.
Well, hang on, we'll come on to what we might call them instead. The search for somewhere that's cooler than your usual traditional holiday destination has surged by 400% in recent months, and Brits are looking towards Scotland and Yorkshire increasingly. Well, joining us now is the travel editor of The Times and the Sunday Times, Claire Irvin. Good morning.
Good morning.
Would you like to rule first on some of the names that we've had for coolcations? Because we've ruled that out. We're not going to call it a coolcation.
We're definitely not going to call it that, no.
How do you feel about brolly bobs?
How about holiday?
Chilly day.
Vey cooling?
Cool it. I mean,
Vey
just a
cooling.
break.
Gnoming. Going north on my expense.
We should talk about why people are doing this, because people are looking for somewhere a bit cooler, aren't they? They're not so keen on the south, on Cornwall, and they're looking to Scotland and Yorkshire instead.
Well, my theory is, and it goes back to the old adage, a change is as good as a rest, and people just want something different for what they already have. At the moment, obviously, we are under these ridiculous temperatures. Infrastructure can't cope, homes can't cope. We just want something different. So Scotland definitely offers that. But then, you know what? So do some of our favourite destinations. If you look at the northwest of Greece, if you go to the Costa Verde in Portugal, Galicia in Spain, there's some cool spots in the Med. It's just about what you want and knowing where to look.
And what
Obviously,
about,
we can help with that.
Well, exactly. And what about places like Iceland? I mean, Stig's just got back from there. Is it popular to go to somewhere that's, I think it was around 14 degrees,
It was
wasn't
amazing.
it?
Yeah, 14 degrees all day.
I mean, Iceland is incredible. And, anyone that's got any interest in geology and the culture is amazing in Ireland. I mean, Iceland, I love it. Ireland too, by the way. I love Iceland, but lots of people, the reason Scotland is seeing such a surge is people don't necessarily want to fly, and of course you can drive to Scotland. Wouldn't fancy driving to Iceland.
No. If you haven't booked a holiday yet, but you've got some last minute time and you were thinking about going somewhere a bit cooler, where would you suggest that people might look?
Well, I love Scotland, but it depends on whether or not you want to fly, because lots of people are being put off at airports this summer for good reason. And I would highly recommend Scotland. Ireland as well, I just mentioned, really beautiful.
What about the midges in Scotland, though?
Well, Yeah, I mean,
I've worried about midges. Should we
I
worry
have
about
too,
midges?
but I have friends who go to Scotland every August, and they're just like, "What are you talking about?" It's
I
not
think,
a
I think as
problem.
long as you stay
But
inside
I have
for an
actually
hour.
never been to Scotland in August because
I
of the
have,
midges.
and they are pretty
They're
terrible.
pretty bad. Yeah. So Ireland, then let's look at Ireland. But like you said, Kate, Yorkshire's very beautiful. I'm from Yorkshire, love it.
There's 2-2 now from Yorkshire. I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah. It's very.
You'd be run out the studio.
Scandinavia. I went to Sweden 2 years ago. Again, it was warmer than Iceland. It was like 21, 22. It's trying to find places that aren't a crazy barbecue, basically.
Exactly. So my absolute top tip is the Alps. The Alps in summer is my favourite place in the world.
Ooh.
Switzerland, I'm a latter convert to Austria as well. But the Italian Alps, so you could combine, if you love Italy and the culture and the food, go to South Tyrol and you have all of that. But the air is so beautiful, the light is incredible. You can wild swim. I jumped in the sea last week. Does that count?
No.
Where
Wow.
though?
In Greece.
Yeah, that doesn't count.
How
I'm
crazy
afraid.
was Greece?
I was in Zakynthos, right opposite actually yesterday, quite harrowingly, where the wildfire started in Kefalonia. So the heat was great. It was cooler than it was here, and we had a pool and we had the sea, and air conditioning. So that's all fine. But I have to say that was a leveller. Actually seeing them break out and seeing all of that, it's sobering.
Yeah, I bet it is. Well, Claire, thank you very much. And people can get far more, lots and lots of travel tips and information on the travel pages on The Times.